Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia and I am your host and wedding photographer based in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. Today on the podcast we've got the lovely Olivia. We chatted all about her private property wedding down in Wānaka, what it was like to plan a South Island wedding while living in Auckland, and how invaluable having a planner is. We chatted through their love story, how there was a little bit of weather drama on the day with rain coming and going, what it was like to make tough guest list decisions, planning an epic honeymoon, a little bit of post-wedding blues, and how it's hard to deal with social media comparison and watching new trends come through even after your day, and so much more. Olivia has some great advice and ideas, so I know you're going to love this one. So let's get straight into it. Enjoy episode 35 with Olivia. Hello, Olivia. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. So excited to chat to you.
Hi, Lydia. Thank you for having me.
You had a stunning wedding and it'd be cool to talk all about it. But to get started, if you could just tell me a little bit about you and your partner, how you guys met and your life together.
Yeah, sure. So Simon and we did actually meet on Tinder. It was sort of a post-lockdown meeting. We were chatting on there for a little bit, but very soon after that went on our first date. And he took me to the driving range because he is a golf fanatic, and then followed by some drinks at a nice wine bar in Ponsonby. And then, honestly, not soon after that, we were pretty inseparable, and he moved in with me sort of 6 months after we started dating. And then 18 months into the relationship we got engaged, so it was a relatively fast moving process, but I guess when you know, as cliche as that is, and that was very much the case for us. Our life together, we have a 2-year-old Labradoodle called Yogi, so we love spending time with him. He gets a lot of our attention. We both really enjoy traveling. I guess now that the world's opened up again, we've been able to do a little bit of that together, which has been really nice. And then we love spending time in Wānaka. I'm from down south. My parents have a place there, so we love getting down there and just getting out in nature and out on the lake and things like that. Family's important to us both, so love spending time with our family and friends.
Oh, so cool. Love a dating app story. That's how so many people meet these days.
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but
pretty normal now. I feel like it's not definitely as embarrassing, So had you always been one of those girls that dreamed about your wedding day, knew exactly what you wanted, and what was sort of the vision and vibe in mind, and how did you get started with choosing a venue, all of that?
Yeah, sure. So I definitely was a girl that dreamed about my wedding day since I was very young. So I always knew that I wanted to do the big wedding and get all of our friends and family together to do that. So definitely had dreamed about that day for a long time. So the vision that I had for the day, like from the day we got engaged, we both knew that we wanted to get married in Wānaka. That's where we got engaged as well. So it had quickly become like it would always been a special place to me, but in my family, but it very quickly became that for Simon as well. So the venue more sort of informed kind of the vibe of the day versus being the other way around. And I also wanted to get married somewhere a little bit different. Like my sister had gotten married 6 months prior to us at Ripon, which is obviously the most beautiful venue, but I did want to do something a little different. And mum and dad at the time were building a new place in Wānaka and had a bit of land that was sort of surrounded by mountain views, So it didn't take us long to decide that that's where we wanted to get married and have our special day. Sort of always loved the Truly Yours marquees, the clear marquees, and loved the idea of sort of having a blank canvas to work with. And then as far as vibe for the day, like I really wanted it to be kind of classic, but also, yeah, classic and like timeless, but also a bit unique as well, and have a few elements that we could have a little bit more fun with, and add some color in there and things like that. But wanted to make sure that it was sort of classic enough that I didn't look back on the day and cringe.
Yeah, nice. Such a cool spot down there as well. Like all Central Otago is so beautiful. So
Yeah,
lucky to have
so
that
nice.
for sure. I realized I totally skipped the proposal question, but yeah, can you tell us a bit about your proposal story?
Yeah, sure. We had discussed from quite early on that, that's the path we were definitely heading down. So I sort of knew that it would be on the cards at some stage. And I'd sort of had an inkling like, oh, if he was going to do it, it'll probably be like when we had a planned trip to Wānaka and in the summer of 2022, and I was like, oh, if he was kind of going to do it like this summer, it would definitely most likely be in Wānaka. So I did have that little thought in my mind when we headed down there, but that was soon squashed when Simon was brave enough to open up a conversation around what sort of rings I wanted and liked. And so at that point, I was like, okay, like, hasn't got the ring, like, it's not happening this summer, which was either really smart of him or like really silly if he did, because he did already have the ring. And I was pretty upfront about what I liked and didn't like. So yeah, I just sort of put it out of my mind. And then a few days later, he suggested that we go and take the jet ski up the lake and find a beach and have a bit of a picnic. I didn't really think too much of it. We were, staying with my parents, so we'd been spending a lot of time with them. So I thought, oh yeah, it'd be nice to just go and do something, just the two of us. And then yeah, we pulled up onto a nice private beach up the lake, and yeah, then he was soon down on one knee and yeah, proposed. So I was really shocked, just given that earlier conversation that we had had. But I think looking back now, I was like, oh yeah, there was definitely signs that was coming. So I think had we not had that conversation, I would have definitely have known that was happening. But yeah, then it was really nice afterwards being able to go and celebrate with mum and dad. We live in Auckland, so don't get to spend, heaps of time with them or see them super often. So it was really nice to share that special moment with them. Yeah.
He definitely threw you off the scent there for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so, what were the most important elements of the day for you when it came to your top priorities for your wedding in terms of vendors or style, vibe, all of that?
Yeah. I feel like I'm just gonna like list off every element of the wedding. But like for us, it was really important to have like really good food and kind of drink offering, and the music, and like really creating the, I guess, vibe for the guests. We just wanted everyone to have a really good time. Given that a lot of people also traveling for the wedding as well, that was super important to us. And then sort of the other key elements for me were definitely like the photo and video, and yeah, getting a really good photographer, and then also the flowers. Like I feel like I I don't think I realized it at the time, but it was probably my favorite element of the styling of the day. Like it just really, yeah, made the look and feel of it. And then of course the dress. Yeah, the dress was super important.
And can you tell us a bit about the dress and finding it, or yeah, both your wedding outfits? How was that process?
Yeah, sure. So I was pretty what would I say? I was quite decisive, which I'm not always. So I guess that's a good thing in this case, because I really only went to one place. I kind of knew the style that I had in mind. So I wanted to go somewhere that it could be a little bit more bespoke and custom. So yeah, went to Vinca Design here in Auckland, and yeah, worked with Anita there on my dress. A lot of people say, oh, the dress I ended up having is completely different to what I thought. And although I went in kind of knowing exactly what I wanted and, style and fabric, like it definitely did shift, and ended up trying on the style that she had with kind of the pencil dress underneath and then the overskirt long train over the top. And yeah, as soon as I tried that on, I was like, yep, this is the one. And I think just having the two elements to the dress and being able to take the overskirt off later in the night and sort of have a second look as a byproduct of that was really cool. So yeah, that's the dress really. I was pretty firm on what I wanted and didn't shop around too much.
Yeah, so cool to have an element that you can change about it. So yeah, you're still getting like a lot of wear out of your main dress, but changing the look slightly. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
And who was in your bridal party, and did you find that an easy process choosing them?
Yeah, so we did find that pretty easy. I knew straight away. I wanted to keep the bridal party like relatively small, and just have our really close ones there. So I had my sister, my best friend Zara, and one of my other best friends, Katie. Zara was my maid of honor, and then Simon had his brother and two of his best friends as well. One of them being the best man, and I think we both knew right from the outset, quite obviously who would be in there. So it was it wasn't a super hard one.
Yeah, nice. It's a good size, nice amount of people to have around you. And how many guests did you have? Was that a difficult process narrowing them down?
Yeah, I think that definitely comes with its challenges. We had around, I think it ended up being around 120 guests. And while I wanted kind of a bigger wedding, I definitely didn't want like a massive one. So yeah, that was definitely a more challenging part of the process. My dad is one of 9, so comes from a very big family. So we did make the decision to not have my cousins on that side there, which is always a hard decision to make. And then you have to, I think, make calls that aren't always that comfortable, like when it comes to, partners of friends and things like that as well. And I think you just try and do the best you can at the time with the information that you have, and just hope that people kind of understand that. So yeah, it was definitely a harder part of the process, but ultimately we're really happy with everyone that we had there, and everyone was really happy to be there and supportive. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely a tricky part for everyone. And yeah, there's going to be some people that have to miss out. But yeah, as you say, hopefully they understand. And sounds like you landed on a really nice number. Can you tell us a bit about the big day, how it all went, and any favourite moments?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start by saying the entire summer in Wānaka that summer was like incredible, hot, dry. I mentioned before that mum and dad were building, and dad had actually that summer been trying to grow the grass like for the wedding, kind of from scratch without any rain, which was obviously quite different to what we're experiencing up in Auckland, and what a lot of those brides had to endure and go through. So, but on the morning of the wedding, like woke up and Zara and I went to go for a walk and the sky was just black, like pitch black, and I was like, oh. And it did just then start absolutely pelting it down. And I'd always said as well, like, I'm not going to have a wedding at a venue where it's like susceptible to weather. It's like, I want somewhere that's just going to be safe and like, you know, a dry option. But of course I go for like the fully outdoor setup. So so yes, the morning was like a little bit of a rough start to the day, and it was quite just emotional. You kind of, I said I kind of dreamt of that day for a long time, and obviously you don't envision that it's pelting down with rain. So that was a little bit of a pill to swallow. And unbeknownst to me, Dad had actually been up to the property, and I didn't know this at the time, but the Marquee had like essentially flooded, so it wasn't looking great at that point. But yeah, I guess this is when you have good people around you, and they sort of pulled me out of that and said we're still just going to have the most amazing day, and yeah, we carried on, had a lovely morning getting ready, and it was very chill after that kind of hecticness of the start to the morning. From there, it did just really calm down, and we were all very relaxed, and we weren't rushed at all. We were just taking our time getting ready, which was really nice. The weather sort of started to, it was like a bit on and off, and the rain would stop, the sun would come out, and then the rain clouds would roll back through. So that was a bit of a roller coaster. But then we were all ready and getting ready to leave for the ceremony, and our wedding planner had like set up inside the Marquee for the ceremony, but at this point it was sunny and clear, and so we were sort of on the blower to her saying, nah, let's move it outside, we're doing it outside. And we were able to have our ceremony outside, which was just incredible. That moment of driving into the ceremony and seeing everyone there and everything set up outside was just quite overwhelming. And it'll always be a favorite part of my day. It was like walking down the aisle to Simon. Like, that's just you can't even describe that feeling. But I wasn't like nervous at all. I was just like so excited to get there and see him. And it was a really nice ceremony with our saying our vows and things like that. We did our own vows, which was really nice and special. And then we did like a cocktail hour and had a champagne tower, and just that time of mixing and mingling with everyone was super nice. And then a bit more rain came in, and then by the time we went away to get our photos, it was sunny again. So we were super lucky with the day we did end up getting. And that time going away with just the bridal party as well was really nice, just to kind of step away, have some time with just them. It was really fun being away doing that. And then reception was awesome. Like, our speeches were incredible, our MC was incredible, and he really took the role super seriously and prepped most of the year for it, and just really was quite entertaining as well, which I think was really good, because we did have quite a few speeches, so that sort of kept everyone engaged and in there. And then our dance floor was incredible. Like, it was packed the whole rest of the night, and we had a DJ and a saxophone accompanying them, so just having that sort of element was a real highlight as well. And everyone was sort of just letting loose and was on the dance floor to the early hours of the morning. So it was an incredible day. It was many highs, a couple of lows, but those do just pale into insignificance, like when you look back at the day in totality. So it really is the best day. And it's not always going to go like completely to plan, but I think as far as apart from the little hiccup with the weather, like, everything did really go so well and to plan. And it's just an amazing day.
Oh, so cool. Sounds incredible. So many memorable moments and yeah, so relatable. Just the weather anywhere in New Zealand, it definitely causes a lot of stress. But yeah, so lucky when you can just kind of work in between showers and then yeah, it's not even a dampener on the day.
Yeah, for
Fun.
sure. My dress was definitely a one-time dress, and shoes were definitely a one-time wear.
Yeah, bit of hard work for the dry cleaner, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you find the hardest part about wedding planning, and is there anything you look back on and regret or would do differently?
So we did have a wedding planner, which yeah, super lucky to have had her. Like, it made the whole planning process actually pretty enjoyable. And Simon also, wanted to be quite involved in it as well, which is really nice. So it was something that we could, after a day of work, like sit down and talk about and do together, which yeah, I think made the process all the more special. But um, yeah, I have to say I didn't have to go through too many hardships in the planning process, just having the wedding planner. And yeah, that it just made it super enjoyable, and which it should be an enjoyable process. I know, like, that's very easy to say, but I'm really happy that we were able to make it that. One of the hardest things that I struggled with was actually bridesmaids dresses, to be honest. Like, that's probably the thing that took the most time for me. Just, finding a color and style to suit all the girls, and not all of them were living in Auckland, so that did make it a little bit more tricky. And then, yeah, I've mentioned a couple of times, like, mum and dad were building at the time, and my vision was that I would get ready in the house on the property, which in hindsight wouldn't have been a good thing anyway, with what was going on the morning of. But yeah, that was definitely the most stressful part of the kind of lead up to the wedding, was not knowing whether that was, and we'd sort of pushed our date out initially to allow a buffer time, but turns out it wasn't quite enough. So we're like, oh, is it going to be like a complete construction site? Luckily, it had gotten to a point where, like, the exterior was completely finished, and looking back and, like, looking at the photos, you wouldn't even know that was the case. But that was definitely a bit up and down throughout the planning process. And then the only other thing I'd say is just, like, having the venue being a private property and having a marquee and things. There's just quite a few additional things to think about that I wouldn't have, and I think a bit of hidden extra cost in there as well. Like, you kind of think, oh, we're doing it on our property, like, that will save cost, but it wasn't necessarily the case with kind of the additional things you have to think about. So yeah, I'd say those were kind of the key things there. I don't have any regrets. I think, like, one of the things I have struggled with post wedding is, you get back on social media and then it's like all these new trends, like this wave of new trends sets in, and there's all these new things, and you see all these weddings again, and it's like, oh, I would have loved that, or I would have loved that. But I think it's just super important to be really authentic and comfortable and happy with the decisions that you do make, kind of despite trends, so that yeah, you don't get too thrown off by that, I guess. But that was something I definitely didn't expect to happen. But I guess it's like anything, there's always going to be, new things and and all of that. So yeah, you just got to be really happy with the decisions that you're making at the time.
For sure. It's so relatable. That's great advice. But yeah, so hard to avoid that comparison or just, yeah, the social media pressure almost, and just
Yeah,
seeing
for
new
sure.
things, and hindsight's beautiful as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
trying to stay true to what represents you guys. That's
Yeah,
great
exactly.
advice. And did you guys have a budget? Did you end up blowing it? Is there anything you can talk about around that, or things you did to try and cut costs?
Yeah, we definitely discussed a budget. I don't think it took long before that was kind of out the window. I think, like mentioned before, around the Marquee, like some hidden costs there with doing the wedding the way we did it. And I mean, I knew going into it that weddings are expensive, but you kind of don't or can't grasp how actually expensive they are until you sort of get into it. So tried to stick to the budget as much as possible. I mean, like, we were really lucky that our families contributed towards the wedding as well, so we were able to sort of make more out of the day than we would otherwise have if it was just us covering it. So we were really lucky in that respect. Yeah, I think as well, like, I find sometimes there's a bit of judgment or, negativity around actually like having a wedding because of the cost of it. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, like, it's a day I dreamed of since I was, really young. And I would just say, like, we wouldn't take, and both my husband and I have both said this along with our parents as well, like, we wouldn't want a cent of that money back. Like, it's just the best day, and like having that day to reminisce on and look back on, like, I feel like we've just been on a high this whole year because of that. And so having that day that we now share and can look back on, is so special and so worth every cent that we put into it. So yeah, I'd just say, like, whatever it looks like for you, like, if you're tossing up, definitely do the wedding, and yeah, just having that day to look back on is invaluable.
So special. Yeah, totally worth it. It's, so rare that you have all those people together at one time celebrating you. Probably never going to happen again. So yeah, just worth doing it and making it exactly the day that you guys want.
Yeah, and seeing, like, not only the joy that it like brought us, but like our families as well. Like, it was just worth all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's for everyone. Like, it is celebration of your love, but yeah, like your parents' day as well, kind of, and yeah, all the family. So super special. And did you guys go on honeymoon straight away, and what did planning that look like?
So we did just like a week straight after the wedding. But we just like had a few nights in Queenstown, and then went to Milford Sound. So that was our sort of time to, decompress and recap the day. And yeah, you just, that feeling for that whole time afterwards is really hard to explain. Just you're on such a high and so elated. And then we had planned, because at this point in time we actually hadn't done any overseas travel together, just because of COVID. So we planned to do a honeymoon a little bit later. So we got married in mid-March and went on our honeymoon end of May. And so we took 10 weeks off work and travelled around Europe together, which, yeah, was so nice. And it was just really nice to have that to like look forward to as well after the hype of the wedding was all over. But having that week afterwards, just us two, like, was super special. And I definitely think you need at least some time afterwards to just take it all in, really.
So nice. I hear that a lot, but I think it's the best way to do it, just having something a little bit more local and chilled, and then a bit more of a exciting maybe overseas trip to look forward to. And 10 weeks in Europe, that's amazing. I did that in 2022 actually, so
nice.
Love a Euro summer, so good.
Yeah.
Were there any helpful websites or apps, resources that helped you during the planning process? Obviously your planner would have been an amazing resource, but anything else that really helped you?
I have to say I did lean a lot on her for that stuff, but I think the key things was, as far as planning tools go, was having like a breakdown throughout the year or however long it is you're planning the wedding for, of like what you need to do and by when, and like what vendors you should be locking in sooner rather than later, and all of that. So I think just, yeah, the timing of when you need to be doing certain things, I'd definitely recommend kind of setting that out from the outset, and just it kind of breaks it down into little chunks as well, so it's not as overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Just breaking it down, putting it all in your calendar, or yeah, kind of however you need to do it. It's great advice. And yeah, do you have any advice for couples that are planning their wedding at the moment?
Um, so yeah, I think touched on a couple of them already, but definitely like setting aside some time after the wedding to just, yeah, decompress, and that. I think this one's an obvious one, but like make decisions based on what you as a couple want and like what's right for you, and all of that. I think a lot of people have a lot of opinions around weddings and things, and I just tuned that out completely, and just focused on what Simon and I wanted. I think try as much as possible to enjoy the planning process, and doing it together as well. Like getting, Simon wanting to be involved in that was great, and it made it more our day versus it being kind of just my dream day that I'd put together. So that was really nice. And then I think if not a wedding planner, like an on the day coordinator, I would highly recommend, because you just sort of don't know, especially like if you are doing a wedding on private property. I know a lot of venues have coordinators there that you can access, which is awesome. But yeah, I think if you're doing it on a private property, then having, a wedding planner or at least an on the day coordinator is actually essential. Like it just wouldn't have been an enjoyable lead up if we hadn't have had Lucy. So yeah, I'd say that's probably my key advice.
Definitely one of the most important vendors, I think. Like just having someone helping the whole day run smoothly, and not having you or your bridal party or family stressing about little things in the background.
Yeah, and I wanted my family, our families, and like our bridal party to really enjoy the day as well, like it was for them as well. So not having them sort of, yeah, running around, and being able to actually be with us and enjoy it was super special. Yeah.
And what is married life like now? Do you feel like you had any of those post-wedding blues after the wedding? Would have helped having Europe to look forward to.
Yeah, I think that definitely helped. That definitely helped. But I, yeah, for sure had blues afterwards. I think when it's your key focus, I mean, for me, not only was it my key focus for that year, but had been our focus for me for many years prior. So to have that like kind of super exciting, amazing milestone kind of behind you is like, oh, like it's like one of the big life things that is now like behind me, and that's a bit sad. But yeah, having our honeymoon to focus on and plan and look forward to after that was really good to kind of get focused on something else. Married life now is, yeah, it's really good. I feel like, we're coming up a year and it's just flown by, and I mentioned it before, we've just, I feel like, been on a high this whole year really, and like having the wedding content kind of drip in over the course of the year has been like really nice to relive it in certain time intervals. But yeah, it's pretty, I have to say, pretty blissful still, which is really nice. And yeah, just, having that day to talk about, and look back on, like, yeah, we talk about it very regularly still, and I'm sure we will long into the future. So yeah.
Oh, so good. So lovely to chat to you and reminisce about it today as well. And yeah, is there anything else you want to add as we wrap up, or say to engage people? Anything else we missed?
I think we've covered mostly everything, but yeah, I'd just say like, yeah, it was worth, every penny, every amount of time planning it, and yeah, definitely absolutely worth it, and the best day ever. So yeah, I'd just say like try and enjoy the process as well, because it is a big part of it. Yeah.
Amazing. So lovely to have you. Thanks so much for coming on, sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.